Cause of death, Anitra Gunn was strangled to death. Demarcus Little was accused of killing his girlfriend, Anitra Gunn, on Valentine's Day. Little appeared in court for the murder charges. Gunn, an Atlanta native, was found dead in the woods near the Peach-Crawford County line.
This is the story of Anitra Gunn, aged 23, who was strangled to death on Valentine's Day by her toxic boyfriend, Demarcus Little, aged 23. Demarcus could not handle her wanting to move on with someone else, and also not wanting him anymore. After manipulating her in various ways, he told her how much he loved her on Valentine's Day, and she laughed back at his comments, making him upset, strangling her and dumping her in the woods on Valentine's Day. Hello, and welcome to Baca Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories. This story will be taking us to the city of Fort Valley, Georgia. Fort Valley is a town in Georgia with a population of 8,829. Fort Valley is in Peach County. Living in Fort Valley offers residents a sparse suburban feel, and most residents rent their homes.
Answers. Gunn was reported missing February 14th. Today, we learned more about why she called police to her home just days before she disappeared. She told officers she heard a loud bang around 3 a.m., but thought it was animals moving around her home. She later noticed a window near the back door had been broken with a brick, and the tires on her car had been punctured. She told police it was the second time in 2 weeks her tires had been damaged.
Anitra Gunn, age 23, was a student at the Fort Valley State University, and Anitra had graduated from the Westlake High School in Atlanta. She was known to be someone lively, funny, sweet, and family-oriented. She regularly posts pictures of her mother and dad on her social media. Even though her mother passed away sometimes around 2014 on Father's Day, she sent her dad a very lovely message.
We're still working to keep her memory alive.
When we were young, she was just always, happy. Nobody ever could make her sad.
That's Antoine Gunn describing his big sister Anitra Gunn, just a year older. They spoke daily.
We was FaceTiming almost every day, almost up until her death.
Antoine says the last time he spoke to his sister was the day before Valentine's Day. On February 15th, her father, Christopher Gunn, drove to Fort Valley from Atlanta to file a missing persons report. 3 days later, searchers found her body in the woods of Crawford County. Antoine's father called him to tell him the news.
Because I didn't really want to believe anything was wrong for real, anything that happened to her for real. I just didn't want to believe it.
Police charged Demarcus Little, Anitra's boyfriend, with malice murder in Anitra's death and also criminal damage to property. Investigators believe Little is the person who slashed Anitra's tires and threw a brick through her window 9 days before she disappeared. Peach County Sheriff Terry Deese says Little is still in jail in Peach County, but that investigators still don't know why he allegedly killed his girlfriend. Little's friend Javon Abron was arrested and charged with concealing a body and 2 counts of giving false statements to law enforcement in Valdosta. Deese says he's out on bond.
He was released in July on a $20,000 conditional bond. He's basically under house arrest with ankle monitors.
Deese says court dates were put on hold because of COVID-19. Antoine says he struggled through the last year without his sister, but the family is coping and ready for justice.
We'll be prepared. My family will be prepared. We just want everybody that was involved to get served. We don't want nobody off for doing such a crime like that.
In August of 2020, Fort Valley State University honored Anitra with a posthumous degree in visual and performing arts. In Fort Valley, Kayla Solomon, 13 WMAZ News.
In a statement, Fort Valley State University said, "Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with her family, friends, and other loved ones. Anitra will not be forgotten. She will live on in our memories as a dedicated student and well-liked member of our university family."
Anitra would meet a young man named Demarcus Little, an Army sergeant at Fort Gordon. He by no means was a cool-headed guy because the relationship had been toxic since day one. She was going through all sorts of times with him, even though he called her his soulmate. There were numerous times she tried to break up with him, but he won't let her go. There was a time where he slashed her tires and also threw rocks into the windows of her car, calling her over 50 times in the space of 24 hours and planning to pay someone $200 to have her new boyfriend killed, or beat up a day before Valentine's Day on February 13.
Interest at this time. Today we found what appears to be Gunn's Twitter account. It contains several posts about school, including a tweet from September talking about how she was ready to graduate. The day after her home and tires were damaged, she retweeted, quote, "Folks don't see any wrong in what they do." 3 days later, another retweet, quote, "I can't be around anybody that makes me feel like everything I do is wrong." And then on February 11th, 3 days before she disappeared, she tweeted, quote, "I should have really evaluated the people I gave my time to, but I always try to see the good in them. I'm learning." Students on campus today still in shock that the search for her ended this way.
I didn't really know her personally, but I've met her a couple times. She's helped me with one of my projects before, and she made a really good impression on me. And so I had just saw her last week, so when I saw people were saying that she was missing, it kind of scared me because it was hitting so close to home.
Demarcus and his best friend JV and Abram all went to a party together around 11 p.m. When he arrived at the party, Anitra was there. At the end of the whole event, they all left in the same car, JV and Abram, the car to Anitra's house on Church Street in Fort Valley, and dropped the couple off there. But the night didn't end there for the couple. Somehow they ended in Demarcus's aunt's house. After they got to the house, he confronted her, telling her how she hasn't been committed to him during the troubling times, and how he really loved her. Anitra found that common funny and laughed it off. That got Demarcus really upset, which made him grab her and strangle her right there until she stopped breathing. When she died, he would use her phone to text himself and text some of her friends. He then put her in the back of her car, then drove her into the woods to hide her body under the bushes. He drove recklessly to the extent he damaged the car, and the front bumper came off the car getting back to his aunt's house. He panicked and decided to go get the bumper. He called his best friend JV and Abram to accompany him to the woods. On their way, he explained all that happened regarding how he killed her because she laughed at him when he said he really loved her. Anitra's dad sent her a text between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. Happy Valentine's Day. "I love you. When you get this message, call me at 8:11 a.m. She responded, "Happy Valentine's Day. I love you too, Dad," and added that she was going out of town with a new guy she had met. She and her dad sharing just a few more messages. Her dad didn't hear from his daughter again. That same day, he contacted the Fort Valley Police Department after Anitra's brother Antoine couldn't get into contact with her, and phone calls from her father went unanswered. She was declared missing, and there was a search for her. Crime Stoppers announced a $5,000 reward for information leading to Anitra's location. Search continues. Demarcus was trying to throw the police off. He sent a text to her dad demanding a ransom of $8,000 and also instructed not to contact the police.
Area outside the house of a relative of Anitra's boyfriend. Here's what Peach County Sheriff Terry Deese had to say about the search efforts.
Well, as you all know, this started this weekend, and Monday morning we came together as a task force, been meeting regular, a joint effort between all the agencies working to find Miss Gunn. Today at 3:19, deputies and members of the task force were out riding because of the weather. We couldn't get the helicopter up, so we're going to turn the body over to the GBI Crime Lab. They have still got to verify that this is who we think it is, but at this time it hasn't been confirmed.
Search for a missing college student from Atlanta. GBI just confirming they have found Anitra Gunn's body in Crawford County. That's in the Macon area.
The Fort Valley State senior had not been seen in 5 days. 11 Alive's Latasha Givens has the very latest.
Now, this information is just coming into the newsroom within the last 15 minutes. A GBI special agent telling our sister station that Gunn's body was found by the Peach-Crawford County line. Gunn's father told our sister station in Macon he last spoke to Anitra Friday morning. He says family members repeatedly tried to contact her, but after that, she didn't respond. That's when he filed a missing persons report. Investigators checked her home on Friday. They didn't find any signs of a struggle, but the next day her car was found abandoned in a neighbor's yard with the front bumper missing. They've been searching that area every day.
Her body would be found the next day in the woods by an officer. Demarcus was arrested, and his friend was arrested too for lying to the police when they were both earlier interrogated. After carefully thinking about his future, his best friend JV would later confess and be a state witness regarding what Demarcus did to Anitra. Demarcus would have his day in court to choose to testify. And these were some of the things he had to say. The jurors were shown text between Demarcus and Anitra. After several days at trial, the jury eventually found him guilty. During the Nitz's father's testimony, he shared that Anitra would have been graduating in the spring of 2020. She had recently been accepted to a music school in Arizona. Valentine's Day was supposed to be a day where we express love to our loved ones, but unfortunately, that would end up being the day which Anitra was killed.
Testimony continuing today in the trial for the man accused of killing Fort Valley State University student and Atlanta native Anitra Gunn. She was found dead after going missing on Valentine's Day in 2020. Today, officers testified that Demarcus Little admitted to vandalizing Gunn's car and home days before her disappearance after seeing her with another man. The testimony comes on day 3 of the trial as investigators detailed the final moments of Gunn's life. Prosecutors believe Little strangled Gunn before dumping her body in a nearby county. He's charged with malice murder and faces life in prison without parole.
Our sincere condolences to the friends and families of Anitra. May Anitra's memory be a blessing for her family and for all who knew her and made her life and death be an inspiration and a turning point towards justice and increased protection for domestic abuse survivors.